From Khamzat's brutal reply to Chaos for calling him a joke with an unprofessional attitude, to a brutal fight being the only way to settle this horrid beef, Khamzat Chimaev blasts Colby Covington. Here's why. Whether it's to insult Colby any chance he gets, or to challenge him to a fight, Chimaev does not hold back at all. In the high-stakes, heat-fueled world of UFC, there's drama in every corner. It just never ends, whether it's inside or outside the octagon. Some of these fighters are just filled with ambition and anger, so clashes are just bound to happen. You can see the beef unfold in interviews, press conferences, and social media. It's like they're in a constant verbal match, throwing insults and challenges left and right. These fighters want to prove that they're the best, and taking down a rival is the ultimate testament to their skill. While there are many rivalries, the most infamous one is the one between Khamzat Chimaev and Colby Covington. These two fighters are absolute legends who need no introduction. They're not just your average fighters, but instead, they're known for never holding back. I mean, the tension between these two is just insane. But when it comes to trash talking, there's no denying the fact that Colby is unbeatable. He's a master at getting under his opponent's skin, not only during fights, but also afterwards. In fact, he has a reputation of getting way too personal. In the past, he's worn down top 10 contenders like Masvidal, Damian Maia, and Robbie Lawler with his relentless trash talking. Think of the most offensive thing you can say. Covington has probably said it. No wonder he's called Chaos Covington in the ring. But Covington really met his match with the equally unhinged Khamzat Boris Chimaev. This guy brings a whole new level of confidence and tension to the octagon. He's someone you don't want to mess with no matter what. Chimaev comes from Chechnya, Russia, and his wrestling skills are second to none. This guy has been training since he was just a 5-year-old boy. Can you believe it? That's some serious dedication right there. And let me tell you, it's not just his skills that make him a standout. This guy has got a personality that'll keep you on your toes. He's aggressive, reactive, and doesn't back down. Chimaev ain't afraid to call out those fake gangsters, and he's always hungry for knockouts. So, any drama involving this guy can turn ugly real quick. The UFC has never seen someone with such a wild and unpredictable personality. So, with Covington firing constant insults at his competitors, and Chimaev not holding back with his explosive personality, we're not at all surprised to see these two fighters grabbing the attention of fans around the world. The beef between Covington and Chimaev is just a bit too much. They know how to stir up some serious drama. The most recent in their never-ending ping-pong of insults was when Colby straight up called Khamzat a joke of a fighter. After Covington's comeback in the UFC spotlight, he wasted no time in causing chaos. During the post-fight press conference, Covington went all out on Chimaev. He straight up called him a joke, called him unprofessional, and said the guy can't fight. But he wasn't done there. Covington called out Chimaev for missing weight in his fight against Nate Diaz. According to him, that fight was too easy, almost like it was a setup for a showdown between him and Chimaev. Talk about throwing shade. But Chimaev, with an undefeated UFC record and a personality to match, didn't take Covington's comments lightly. He replied to an article about Colby's comments with a couple of facepalm emojis and the words, "lying and have no shame." But this beef between the two has been cooking for a while now. These guys just can't help but take shots at each other. And let me tell you, they are both at the top of the welterweight rankings, so it's serious business. Chimaev has been calling out Covington for almost a whole year. He's been dying to get in the octagon with him, but guess what? He says that Covington has been dodging the fight. The tensions between these two is as thick as it gets. And Dana White recently announcing Covington as the next in line for the title against Leon Edwards does not help. Yeah, that's right. Colby has been given yet another chance at the title. But here's the thing though, Covington has been pretty quiet lately, despite getting called out by a bunch of welterweight contenders. Not really a good look for him, if you ask me. Both fans and foes are giving him some serious side-eye. So when White announced that Covington is next in line to challenge Leon Edwards for the welterweight title, the reaction was not at all a positive one. You can't begin to imagine the backlash this announcement got. It was quite a star-studded night at the event, with some big names in attendance. One of them was none other than Colby "Chaos" Covington, ready to jump in as the backup fighter if needed. Now, after all was said and done, Dana dropped the bombshell. Even Leon Edwards, the guy he might be up against, had lots of questions about this decision. When Edwards was asked about the possibility of fighting Covington in the future, he just didn't seem fired up about it. In fact, he seemed downright unimpressed. Edwards straight up questioned the logic of it all. I mean, Covington hasn't fought in ages, so it doesn't make sense for him to be given a shot at the title. Clearly, there's something super fishy about all of this, and Chimaev isn't one to keep quiet about it either. Even though he might not be next in line for a title shot, he's still making it known that he isn't a fan of the announcement. He straight up called him out and didn't hold back one bit. Now that's some real shade. According to Chimaev, Colby's last win is a distant memory. Chimaev called Covington a nobody who only wins against nobodies. That one's just straight up ruthless. He even brought up how Usman broke Colby's chin not once, but twice. I mean, this really makes you question just how bad his skills are. So Chimaev is not holding back on the trash talk, that's for sure. But here's where it gets interesting. He thinks there's something suspicious going on. He believes they're giving Colby a shot because he's a white American. In fact, Boers believes this chance has more to do with Covington's privilege than his skill. Yeah, he thinks they're playing favorites. Meanwhile, Chimaev's from Sweden, living in Dubai, and wonders if that's why they don't want to hand the belt to him. There's definitely a conspiracy brewing up there. Here, just take a look at what he said. Leon has the title, so he said he wants to fight. But I don't know what the UFC wants to do. They give Colby that chance. When did he win his last fight? I don't remember. Who did he win against? Nobody. He's a nobody, he wins against nobody. But at the end, he stated that he trusts these guys and he's not too worried about the entire thing. Despite all the buzz surrounding him, Covington has been keeping a rather low profile lately. It's kinda surprising, considering the number of welterweight contenders who have been calling him out. You'd expect him to fire back with some fierce words, especially with his history of not holding back with his comments. But he's been unusually quiet. And let me tell you, silence isn't doing him any favors. People are starting to raise their eyebrows and wonder what's up with him. So, I have a solution. Let's settle this rivalry by putting these two against each other. It's about time these fighters prove themselves to all of us by stepping inside that octagon and settling their differences with their fists. All of this back and forth banter and verbal sparring might be entertaining and all, but actions speak louder than words. While we're still waiting for any official announcements, there's a glimmer of hope that we might just witness a Covington versus Chimaev showdown in the future. Maybe within 2023 even. And you know what? The UFC loves to capitalize on the intense rivalries and bad blood between fighters. It literally thrives on this stuff. Both Covington and Chimaev have been showing serious interest in throwing down with each other. They've been throwing challenges over and over, egging each other on, and keeping the fans on the edge of their seats. It's like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that this potential matchup becomes a reality, because when these two finally step into that cage, you can bet it's gonna be one heck of a fight. Well, there you have it. From a fight being the only way to finally end this beef, to Khamzat's brutal reply to Chaos for calling him a joke with an unprofessional attitude, this was everything on Khamzat Chimaev blasting Colby Covington.